Here we are again. Rick, how you doing?
Hello, Keith Jones.
Good to see you, baby. I love you.
I love you too. And you know, here's the thing. You guys ought to just come on down to the studio and party with us when we do these things. It's so much fun, man. It's a love fest.
All day, right?
All day, man.
So today's show is going to be on the concept of projection.
And before we start that, let me say that I was in the projector club in high school.
President?
No, not president. I was delinquent office.
Okay.
Never got to the ranks.
Okay, so let's define projection. The way we defined it is that there's something about another person that irritates you, causes you sadness, anger, it's an uncomfortable emotion, but you don't see that you have done or do the same thing or are capable of doing the same thing. But once you get projection and you become aware of it, it allows you to have compassion and empathy for other people, and you send love back their way instead of judging them, being angry with them, or resenting them. So it's a really great concept to get, and once you have awareness over it, awareness with it, you can begin to be loving in all your responses, not reactions, but responses with other people in your lives.
So let's take a common example of one projection, and I'm going to ask you about what things you might project on.
Okay.
But I think one thing that happens in our culture a lot is like impatience at the checkout line or impatience with traffic.
Great.
You know, so you're thinking, I'm such a great driver, why doesn't that person just, you know, move over and let me go past, you know? And then when you're frustrated and you zoom by them and you just feel so angry and superior, you know, that's kind of bad. I mean, that's really a horrible feeling to create in yourself. And it's a judgment about another person.
Right.
Isn't really projection all about recognizing something that you hate in yourself and projecting that hate onto another?
Absolutely, that's exactly what it is. I think what's the challenging part of it is that, not challenging, but what we miss is that we do it too.
It's a mirror.
If you see projection, anything that irritates you about another person or you dislike about another person, the reason that you're able to see it, feel it, recognize it is because it's a reflection of you.
That's exactly right. That's the same thing with judgment.
Yes.
You know, and I judge all the time. I'm really terrible about it, but I'm aware of it, so I don't comment about it now anymore. I don't talk about it, but I still have that corruption inside when I catch myself judging.
Right, but the awareness is a victory, though.
It is, yeah.
Because you become mindful, and the more that you're mindful of it, you can practice not doing it, or you practice catching yourself, and then the next step beyond that is to send love out as opposed to judging, you know. And it's a process, and you're never perfect at it or 100%. You just get better and better and better at it.
And isn't it great to be around people who don't project and who don't judge? I mean, you're always looking to see, okay, this guy seems really, you know, really great, but I'm going to just wait and see if he screws up and judges somebody. Right. But isn't it great to be around people that are totally non-judgmental or seem to be?
Absolutely. You know, I never feel judged by you. No, I don't know if you are or not, because you don't comment on it.
I just did some graffiti in your office. It's pretty bad for you.
Okay, so you judge me.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, but yeah, you know, that's what I love being around you and our common friend Tim, is that we don't feel judged, you know, with each other, and we can be vulnerable and open and share, and so it gives us great practice. And you know, life shows up every day to give you an opportunity to see how you're doing with the whole projection deal.
And it's helpful too if you're in a relationship like with Tim and I and you, where if somebody does say something, the other person will say, hey, maybe this guy's having a bad day, or you know, maybe you don't know what struggles this person has.
Absolutely.
I heard a quote that I think is really cool, which is something like along the lines of, no matter how vile or upsetting somebody else is to you, you got to keep in mind that involved in something in their life that you have no idea about.
Exactly.
That could be enormously difficult, way more difficult than whatever crap you're dealing with.
Absolutely. So you asked for a couple examples.
Okay,
so,
cool.
I'll give an example, then let's have you give one, and then we'll both give one more.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll go with the simple one. So years ago, we would show up at workouts and we do everything super early. And I had this story that I told myself that while I'll get up and exercise early in the morning, I may not be as happy and cheerful as other people will be or would like me to be, and give me 30 minutes to an hour to warm up, and then you'll get, the laughing, fun Keith. But before that, all bets are off.
We didn't get the laughing fun Keith for more than an hour. It was like 2 or 3 hours, and then it was only when we were helping put all this stuff away.
Yeah, right?
That's the old days.
That's the old days. I changed, I'm growing. I'm evolving.
This guy's really
Okay.
powerful now, man.
So one morning I got a ton of sleep. I woke up and I was super I was happy. And I was like, good morning, everybody. And people were like, who's this guy? So good morning, everybody. And then I saw another guy who was working out with us, and he kind of grunted something back at me. Like he wasn't fun or cheerful or fun in the morning. And I remember being ticked off about it, completely ticked off. And so the person I was dating at the time, I went back, I was like, hey man, can you believe this guy? Like I went up to him and say good morning to him, and he was like in this bad mood and stuff like that. Who wants to be around that? And she looked at me, she didn't say a word, she's like, It's like, really? So then she said, so you kind of know how that feels. And in that moment, I got that I was doing the exact same thing. So I was judging him. I was upset and angry about how he responded to my greeting that morning. And I was totally oblivious that I had been doing the same thing for years, and I was projecting. And so in that moment, I totally got okay, I get it. I can be better in the morning, and I won't judge people who are not at their best, And some people, their thing is, don't say anything to me, I have a cup of coffee. My thing was, I'm not a morning person, give me an hour. So all of that is just BS. You make a choice to be, if that's who you want to be, you want to show up as comfortable, loving and fun to be around, then you will be if you make that commitment. But most importantly, along this subject, what I did was I got that I was projecting, and now it has totally helped me with my behavior in the morning, and I don't judge people who may not be at their best, first thing in the morning.
God, that's a great example. That is really perfect. And the way you solved it, magnificent. That's really a good way to go.
Oh, thank you. Give me an example for you.
Sure. I was angry a lot when I was younger. Not so much anymore. I'm pretty mellow now. But when I, say 20 years ago, when I was your age, I was much more in my career and very impatient with people. And so the impatience, I think, had to do with the idea that people weren't understanding how difficult my life was. And it wasn't at all. It was just this thing, like you say, a story of fantasy you tell yourself, because your ego likes to think that you're big enough to have those kind of problems. So I would be angry at people a lot. And sometimes people would look at me and say, what are you angry about? And I couldn't answer them.
Right.
I couldn't. Once they were nice to me, it was like, geez, I'm so kind of embarrassed I did that. And what I realized is, like you, that when I was angry, what I was really saying was, if you were only more like me, I wouldn't have to be angry.
Right.
Well, once I realized how stupid that was, I stopped doing it. I mean, it took me a little bit of time to do it, but I was mindful of it, and it went away. So it's another example of a projection in a mirror. When you judge, when you put out negative behavior, what you get back is that kind of mirror reflecting what you ought to change.
Right, exactly. A projection that, another one for me is another example would be, I couldn't understand, recently something happened and I was pretty good with it, but it was my awareness was heightened about projection. Like I didn't project, but I was aware, and if a situation would have happened just a few years earlier, I would have. And that was when I went through a breakup. And in the breakup, people, to me, my story was they chose sides. So people, sided with her and they stayed friends with her, and our friendship ended. Other people, became friends with me. And what I really wanted to do was let people, hey, you can be friends with both of us. Like, you don't have to choose between us, the people that wanted to be with me. Like, don't make it about, if you're my friend, you can't be her friend. You can be both of our friends.
Of course.
So, but in the past, that same thing happened years earlier, many years earlier, like 10 years earlier, and unknowingly, well, maybe subconsciously I knew, but consciously I was unaware that I was actually choosing sides and picking sides and upset with people that chose, is a business relationship, chose that other person's account for what happened or the story. I was upset about it, like upset. And it wasn't until years later that this other thing happened when I went through a breakup, to where I was projecting back then. I was totally upset with people for choosing sides, but I had done it myself.
Totally.
I completely done it myself, and then I started to get compassion for people that choose sides. Like, it's okay.
Well,
It's all right.
That brings up another little interesting sidebar about this, and that is that a lot of what happens with projection has to do with expectations of other people.
Yes.
And expectations of ourselves that maybe we haven't quite met yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, if you just let go of a lot of your expectations and just live your life, man, I mean...
And let people live theirs.
And let people live theirs. It's a smooth deal. It's okay.
Yeah. So, give me one more thing that you, in another example about how you may have projected.
I may have projected, one time I was really sick and then I threw up and it projected right into somebody else's lap. It was terrible. I mean, honestly colorful, but very terrifying for all of us. No, I think there's a lot of just everyday things that you project about that are judgments about things. And I think the only way to do it is just to monitor and to realize that you're doing it. Realize, I think, that it's a terrific character flaw that gets in the way of you experiencing life in a very present way every day and enjoying it. I mean, this is a limited ride. This is a limited ride, and the world is beautiful.
Right. Just to go back really quick, the one that you said of the expectations of others and ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
For people that are type A and that are, big time achievers, when people don't move at your pace or do things the way you think they should be done, we often forget that we didn't always move at the pace that people may have wanted us to. I think about, some of my friends who are like you, they're attorneys, and they work a certain way, and their way is I want this document or this brief to be airtight. I want it to be written the way that I would write it. And when other people, their support team doesn't produce that kind of product, they get upset about it. But if you can find another example in which you weren't excellent in your work or your delivery, and I like to think about it, when people are like, hey, listen, your writing, the expectation is the writing that you do needs to be excellent for this legal brief, then I like, and to offer something that is subpar, is unacceptable. I love having them at workouts because I'm like, hey, listen, that last set of squats or lunges you did in which your knee didn't touch or you didn't touch the crate or your foot touched down, was that subpar? Would you allow your paralegal to get away with that? And when you can give examples like that, you can see the whole projection thing.
Right. And I think we have to be, one little caution too, one little footnote in all of that is that I think the goal is never perfection. It might be, it might be the idea of doing the best that you can do, which is close to perfection, I guess, kind of a definition of that. But if you aim for that and hit excellence, that's about as good as I think.
Oh, that's fantastic. And what I want people to get is that if you want other people in your life, when you don't give or offer an excellent product, that your best that day is not excellent, or that you don't even give your best that day. If you want them to have some kind of compassion and understanding for you, then offer it to others if they fall short of expectations or what they even said they would do. Like, just be compassionate and loving.
Good point.
Love is always the answer.
Always the answer, and I think also admitting and realizing that you're imperfect and that it's totally cool to be imperfect, and so is everybody else walking around.
Absolutely. Well, perfect, Rick. So thank you for the show on projection, my friend.
Hey, thank you, buddy.
Good. I love you.
I love you too. Always good to be with you.
You too. Thank you.